Data analytics is something that has been there for years. I don't know what we called it, but and am I correct in thinking that it applies to each and every industry? Like, isn't this what managers and CEOs do? Yeah.
100%. To run an organization effectively, you need the information to make the decisions. And from a logistics and a supply chain environment, if you look at the history of fleet management and where it started earlier on, and even when it landed in South Africa, there was always data. You go back to the early days where South Africa was leading the pioneering of the tracking companies and telematics.
Is it?
We were leading it because we had a high number of incidents of vehicles being hijacked.
Oh.
And we wanted a dot on the screen to say security, and that was my first job, to say, okay, we would have, this truck at this time needs to be in Uppington. It's in Uppington, is it the right place? Okay, doesn't look like he's driving at 120 and he might be stolen. He's still doing it. He's still in the right location. Now you move that data to, let me analyze. Let me see what's happening. How am I delivering to my customers? How am I maintaining my vehicles to be cost effective? Because if you're running a transport company, your cost to serve, or any company, your cost to serve is important. How do I see opportunities to reduce or manage costs better, at the same time increase efficiency? So now you look at the data. A financial statement is exactly that. It's the health of your business, your balance sheet and income statement. It's the health of my data days are extreme. Now I've got ammo to go speak to the customer. From a transport perspective, easy access, this is what we did. Engage our customer-facing colleagues to be able to have meaningful conversations with our end-user customer. Hey, we notice XYZ. What can we do better for you? And everything in warehousing, in distribution, in truck management, in driver management. You look at it from an HR perspective. Now you understand everything about it. Let me even pivot it from a driver perspective in transport that might touch IR and HR. One of the things we do in telematics is analyze driver performance. So you have all of these great, fascinating tracking companies. They're not just doing tracking anymore. They give you, like I said, harsh braking, speeding, cornering, excessive idling, blah, 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 all of this data. Dash cam, all of this data. All of that are the data that speaks to the driver and his driver performance. Now you're looking at it and say, driver Jonathan is the worst driver, but what? He's always harsh braking, he's always speeding, he's always idling at this time in this location. Can we talk to you? What is happening? I now see the gaps. So if I'm going to retrain the guy, I'm training him on the gaps, I'm improving the assist, So you look at any sort of training or any sort of assessments or any sort of learning. Now you can see, based on, even if you do it artificial intelligence, I saw a thing when they were talking about, analyzing your behavioral patterns and how you do things to be able to augment you and say to you, this is where the gaps are in your thinking process, in your analyzing process, in your functional process. And this is where you need to improve on. So it's absolutely fundamental. It's very helpful. I love my friend who's here, Shane, is in insurance. So one of the things in insurance as a fleet manager, insurance is one of the subsets that's very important. I now have X amount of accidents that are always happening and I need to claim. Okay, why? Why? The driver, is the vehicle roadworthy? What's happening? Where am I delivering? How am I delivering? When do I have the accidents? How am I having the accidents? What type of accidents are they? Is it a third party where the guy just drives into me for no apparent reason? Is it, is it the drivers are bumping into a pole? The old advert, the pole jumped in front of me. What is happening? How is this happening? I can analyze it. It goes back to training. How do I change this? How do I reduce my claims expenditure? What Shane and her industry is going to charge me is going to be based on my risk profile. The more accidents I have, the more I damage street poles, bump into F&B stadium, which my trucks have never done that, but just, to do type of takeout for the street poles and do all of these things. your risk is now, hey, you're a problem. Your premium will be higher because your risk is now. But if I reduce my risk, your premium is lower. Some people say it's a grudge, but no, it's not. It's absolutely fundamental.
And that's why we want to understand why and what's franchising and why the clients are for these.
Exactly. So that they can also assist you and it all goes back into, yes, the fundamentals of fleet management. What is the fundamentals of fleet management? I need to manage the fleet. But you've got two pillars in fleet management. You've got the drivers and you've got the vehicle. If you talk about the vehicle, again, data management. What type of vehicle, which vehicle am I going to apply in which operation? What is the topography of that area? Is it Durban, KZN, where there's a lot of hills? Maybe then my fuel consumption will be different from a vehicle in Johannesburg that does short distance. In the Free State, I've got a vehicle that travels less stops, but longer distance. His fuel consumption is better than this guy in Joburg. So am I going to say the Joburg driver is an idiot and I must fight with him? No. I need to understand what is the base fuel consumption based on his topography, his application versus this guy. Now you flip it. If I clean and understand the customer need, I will buy a certain brand. I will put a certain trailer. I will load in a different way. I will put certain tires. So it's all linked.
You're right.
So in fleet management, we have a thing called cents per kilometer and TCO. So it's CPK and TCO. Cents per kilometer is running cost. TCO is total cost of ownership. Now, we always look at cents per kilometer because it's like a pie chart where, your tires is one aspect. Your mechanical maintenance is one aspect. Mm-hmm. Your insurance is another slice. Your technology you have in your vehicle is another slice. Mm-hmm. And on. Your fuel is another slice. So when we say what costs, and Gavin mentioned it in his podcast as well, what is the rand cost per kilometer? And for entrepreneurs and people who are running that, they need to understand that. Because it goes in, how do I add my margin and charge the customer? But if I'm controlling my cost, I know this vehicle is costing me 3.50 Rand per kilometer to run. I know what is my quantum. I know how to reverse engineer it, pay all my lines and finances, but also know where are the areas for improvement. So it's a Lean Six Sigma methodology, but it's encompassed in transport management. So that's how it works.
Tell me something, man. This is so interesting. So, for example, organizations like call centers, they are there to, when the customer calls in, they're the first people that have to receive the information. And generally, they need to solve certain things, And I know that within call centers, data analytics, you'll find that the person who's doing data is generally one person who sits at an office somewhere. But isn't it important that customer services agents or people understand data analytics the way that the data person would understand it, that they shouldn't be separate? Because I'm just thinking, if they understood it the way that you understand it, what impact would it have on customer service if?
Oh, that's massive. So it's also the visualization and segmenting it. So when I was in a company where that was predominant, one of the things that helps you differentiate yourselves and improve your customer relationship management is that person needs to have the data to help you and tell you what is happening. And you can use it, take a look at the app, for example, once I can trace my parcel or any courier company. But if I'm going to talk to a human, and obviously companies are moving into bots and they're moving into all of this, but if I'm talking to a human being, whether it's insurance, whether it's financial services, whether it's whatever, need to have on their screen the data that will give the correct feedback to the customer. There's nothing more frustrating than the customer calling and the person doesn't have the total holistic. That speaks into the architecture and the background of what you have built to be visualized so that the customer gets the best feedback, and that's why we're looking into them, in certain sectors, they become key accounts managers because they have the data. If I got a call when I was still at Takealot, I would get a call and I would see how much you've ordered, what you've ordered, what is your trends, what is your likes, what is your dislikes, what is happening with you, and what are your pain points. So that when you call me and say, look, I'm kind of, worried, where's my parcel? I knew it left here and it's there and it's en route and it's here. But the big thing about it is data integration. Every company has this problem. You've got an ERP system. You've got a system for your CCTV cameras in here. You've got a system for electricity. You've got a system for computers. You have all these systems. How do you integrate it? You need to have a way of integrating it, stratifying it, looking at it, and making that decision. The best data, correct data, gives the customer. That particular gentleman I mentioned earlier on in the interview, he would phone me up, and that's beginning of my career. He would phone me up, hey, where's my delivery? I could track on the telematics. No, I see the guy's already in Randburg. He's really 5 kilometers away from me. So here's the traffic, here's the ETA, and if you put your systems even better, you can actually predict. You can predict en route what the new ETA is in real time and give the customer that. So call centers need to have the right data to give the quality feedback to the customer. And I know we're moving away from call centers in certain sectors, but if you're a transport company in a B2B relationship, I still need to do that. You can take it a step further and say, and that's what we did at Easy Access. We can take it a step further and tell the customer when we're coming. And if there's a change to estimated time of delivery, we give them the new live updates to say, here's the problem.
Tell me something, Jonathan. People, when companies listening, if they need to get hold of you for, let's say, bookings, I would imagine for on-site bookings, do you do any of those?
No, I do that in my personal capacity, with the capacity as well under the Association of Fleet Management Professionals. So they can really look at me, look for me on LinkedIn, and there's a page that's coming up. So if they search my name and surname, it will definitely direct them to that page. And it's a motivation. So it's a play on word, on motor vehicles and motivation. So it's motivation. So Shani came up with it. And it's a beautiful logo. And that's what we do, because one of the things I love to do is inspire people to do better. I was talking to the president of the Supply Chain Management Association, and different colleagues in the Association for Fleet Professionals, in talking to people in different sectors, and what we want to do as well is inspire the next generation. A lot of people have doom and gloom and thinking that there's no jobs. There's careers, there's fulfillment in supply chain management. We spoke a lot about data. There's a lot of people in supply chain management, resource allocation, warehousing. If I am Nestle, and I did the Pick and Pay example, I need to know where everything is going. There's a supply chain analyst. There's supply chain managers. There's warehouse managers. There's distribution managers. There is logistics managers. There's transport managers. There's all types of different fields. There's procurement, which a lot of people forget to say it's part of supply chain management. They forget that. All of this coalesces into this that's needed. And we need to expose it to the next generation that there is a future. Someone like me, who was just a guy who did not know he was doing supply chain management in the informal sector, there is really opportunities in this formal sector. And we need people, we need the superstars to come in and to say, I'm going to have initiative. I'm going to drive myself. I want to do great for my economy. And then in conclusion, we talk about the why I do what I do, one of the big whys. And it's something I mention it a lot. I hope the story doesn't get old, in some of my presentations. But my father being a truck driver impacted my life. And we didn't see him every day and we didn't know whether he's safe coming home. And one of the things I do in terms of caring for the drivers, and I do a lot of driver engagements. I believe in talking to, not at the drivers, was really him. There's a human being there. If he's delivering your fuel, there's a human being there. If he's delivering your groceries, there's a human being. If he's delivering your cash, there's a human being. If he's delivering whatever it is, there's a human being behind it. Let's talk to the drivers and the why. Why am I tracking? Why am I looking at video cameras? Why am I trying to improve? I'm not being invasive. I'm not abusing you or endangering you or trying to find a reason to fire you. I'm doing this and I'm partnering with you to get you home safe. And I always say to my drivers, I'm speaking on behalf of your daughter and your son. If I'm going to say to you, the AI is showing me you're not wearing your seatbelt, I need you to wear your seatbelt. I want you to get home safe. In the event I need Shanae and I have to claim, you know, I have to say I've done everything to make sure you are safe, you know. But more than that, your son, your daughter is waiting like I did to see you come home safe. So that's what we need, you know. We have, and rightfully so, we have women empowerment in supply chain management that's happening, and you get women drivers as well. For me, it's irrespective of, you're a human being, and part of everything that I do, compliance with RTMS, technology. I believe in this principle, and I'm shocked that I haven't said it yet. People, it's called PPT. It's what you call in the supply chain control tower that I mentioned. People, process, technology has to be synchronized and synergized. People need to understand the why. They need to understand how important the people are. They need to understand the processes. They need to understand the technology. They have buy-in, and you can do your 8-quarter principles of change management until you're blue in the face and speak big English. But if you get the buy-in, they will win. My father was doing routing and scheduling with papers. I do it with technology. But he's also a why. Because I saw this man work for 30 plus years to put food on our table. I can do my part to send people like him back home to their family safe. And you flip that. If I, as a fleet manager, do my job, I can barely again complain about the road infrastructure. Transnet being upset at which it is. We can do all of these things, and they're trying, those people. You look at the Logistics Control Command Council, they're trying to get things right. But I can be a victim and say the road is bad, people are driving badly. Or I can say I'm one of the many responsible organizations that are doing all that they can so that my trucks are safe on the road, therefore affecting the rest of the country to be safer. If I do my part, the snowball effect happens. The other guy does it, the other guy does it, the other guy does it. And that's the reason why the Fleet Safety Awards was birthed. All of us, that's the reason why we have the Association for Fleet Professionals. All of us sharing the knowledge. How do we as an industry be safer, more compliant, that we contribute to the reduction of crashes? It's December now. We're going to hear all the stories. We had 3,000 people. Don't take that number like, you know, when COVID happened, we were all upset and we were all getting updates for the number. Daily updates. 100 and so, with this, there's a father, there's a mother, there's this person. Our road carnage is unacceptable. Let us do what we can to get people home safe.
So my last question to you, and I have to ask this off. Data, the way you explained it, surely you think it would work for our politicians to act up? Because with the point you sound like what's missing there.
You know, yes, absolutely.
Politics, it would work.
And I'll tell you why. Not really in the, sometimes we think it's the theoretical or theatrical politics. That's the English airtime running out again. So thing about politics, but I was talking to someone about this, and I said, can you imagine having this dream where Cyril has a Power BI page that has drill-through functionality where he can see everything.
Mm-hmm.
And now he taps into the page for water and sanitation, and there's empirical evidence that says to him, Cyril, here is because all the other data will say green, it looks like, here is this municipality here in this place, they're not compliant to the standards you've put.
Yes.
It can direct him to where the problems are.
So it
can work. If I had this dream, and if we implemented a proper integrated, proper digital platforms for everything that we do in government and running the country, and visualize that and make people accountable based on empirical data, not because I'm emotively connected to you, but because you have something to perform, and there is an emotive thing I need you to deliver. Let's take Sia Kolisi. A lot of people now using him as and using the Springboks as illustration. But let's take Sia and Rassi and all those people. When I look at the documentaries that they've taken out, there's a thread there. There's a data thread. One of the gentlemen who plays in Ireland, I just forgot his name. It's not Jesse Green. One of the players was being interviewed recently, and he said, I don't know how the props and the locks put in so much analysis in analyzing a scrum. That's data management. But what did they do? What are we playing for? The upliftment of South Africa. How am I going to uplift South Africa? By having the determination to win. How am I going to have the determination to win? By having the information on the opposition and on ourselves to self-critique ourselves and not stay stagnant and say, woe is me, we come from a third world country. How can we be world champions? Let's analyze. Let's look at ourselves. You look at that whole documentary. They reflected when things were not going bad, where we're not going good. Rassi comes in, it's all a mess. He's now worried about leaving Ireland and leaving a stable position with Jadnida, but they're like, we're coming back to fix this. Where are we wrong? We've forgotten our identity. How does the Springbok team play? With power. If we're trying to play all this fancy footwork like we're the All Blacks, we can't be more All Blacks than the All Blacks. How did we beat everyone else with 1 point to make a point now? We stuck to our identity. But we did not stagnate with our identity. We analyzed. There's an episode where Rassi says to the players, you guys are on the bench, you're not starting, but it's your responsibility to analyze the opposition in this type of place. They bring so much data to prep the guys who are going to start. Now you have the bomb squad. Oh, no, the bomb squad. Those guys are analyzing. Rassi is doing what? He's transferring his methodology in them for future coaches. I would not be surprised if the 5th, 6th, or 7th World Cup is a former player of Rassi who's in the squad now because he transferred. That's what we have to do, transfer the skills. He transferred it to them. They're analysts. They're doing the work. They're looking at the gaps. They use the technology. When I met the 2007 winning captain Jean Smith, and he actually signed a book for me, and we were asking him like, hey, what's happening? It's an old big forum, and he was being asked questions, and he made a statement. I saw him interviewed. He said, Rassi was the first guy to buy a machine to analyze the opposition with VHS. A lot of our listeners might not even know VHS. What is VHS? It's a box. You put in a tape. It appears as a TV. What's a TV? Okay. What's a CD? No. What's a vinyl? No. But this guy was analyzing opposition on tape, on video, while he was towards the end of his rugby career. Data. Data. So if the government can do that and say, we have a vision, we have a passion. What is our passion? Make South Africa great again. And I'm not Donald Trump. But I'm talking about South Africa. Yeah, no, I'm not bringing the head on. I'm just stealing the catchphrase. Make South Africa great again. If we do that, data will be so great. It will be a part of it. We will still have to be on the ground. We will still have to engage people. People, process, technology. And if we synergize that and we actually move and we're swift as well. Everything in digitization talks about swiftness. We do not want to be the company that's left behind, a country that's left behind because we are not swift in our action. We are opposed to new ideas. Let's bring in the experts. Let's bring in those people. Let's have that engagement with government and the rest of the sector, the private sector, so that we make sure that the potential for the country is moved forward. And if we do that, we will leave the legacy for our children and our children's children. But if we don't, we will destroy their future before they're ever even born.
Thank you so much for that.